Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, private sector investment is down, youth unemployment is up, corporate tax revenue is down. Will this government admit that their economic agenda has been a total failure?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It's without question that we have been through economic challenges, and this has been the case globally. That is all the reason it's so important that we continue to be deeply focused on economic growth, Honourable Speaker, and that is the focus of this government. You've seen us identify projects that we can accelerate and pull through. This is a time when it's about building our province stronger, facing the threats that we're seeing globally, and I welcome the opposition to join us in this important work.
Leader of the Official Opposition, supplemental.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Look, business confidence is down, food bank usage is up, hope for the future from BC is down, with close to half of the youth wanting to leave British Columbia. And quite frankly, after 8 years of dismal failure, the Premier's response is to trust us. But even First Nation leaders see through the Premier and are calling him, and I quote, a snake oil salesman, end quote.
Member, we should not be using words even used by the other party inside the House because it's still unparliamentary language.
I'll take your direction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given, quite frankly, this dismal record, and it's the 8 years that has built up the challenges that we face today, why would anybody trust this Premier with additional powers from this legislature?
Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our province has been through tough times without question, and we, every step of the way, have stood up for British Columbians. We stood up for British Columbians through the pandemic and took care of them better than any other province, Honourable Speaker. We stood up for British Columbians on the aftermath of that, when we saw inflation, when we saw supply chain challenges, all of that. We continued to stand up for British Columbians.
Members.
And, Honourable Speaker, we know the other side would take different choices. We will continue to fight for British Columbians. This moment in time, our Premier is showing incredible leadership and showing us how British Columbia can become the absolute economic engine for Canada. That is the leadership. That is the leadership that we are seeing from our Prime Minister, our Premier right now to the Prime Minister, our Premier right now to the tables he sits at. We are opening doors for businesses. We are opening doors for investments all the time while we're standing up for British Columbians, and we will continue to lead.
Members, you will remember our parents always taught us not to disrupt others when somebody else is speaking. Member for Kelowna Mission.
Mr. Speaker, leadership, choices, opening doors. Prime Minister Carney and his new Liberal government have said that Canada's economic strength is underpinned by Canadian energy, and that Canada has tremendous opportunity to be the world's leading energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy. But the Premier seems to have a different position on oil pipelines, depending on who he's talking to. At the Western Premiers Conference, he agreed that, quote, Western Premiers are committed to developing economic corridors to facilitate the free flow of trade, including access to tidewater. But right after the meeting, he was quoted as saying, no, we're opposed to pipelines. So which is it? Does the Premier support pipelines to tidewater or not?
Minister of Energy.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And in their questions today, the opposition is asking questions about economic growth and economic development in BC.
Members, let's not be too cheeky about this. It's a serious question. Members? It's a serious question. Let's hear the minister's answer. Minister.
Well, thank you, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, in February, the Premier identified 18 priority projects for BC. The opposition is against at least 11 of them, Honourable Speaker. In British Columbia, we've been promoting focused on issues of community support, of community benefits, of worker benefits, of climate change, and of First Nations benefits, LNG projects, Honourable Speaker. Now, the member was a Liberal activist, I think, for a decade before he converted, Honourable Speaker, and he'll know how successful his party was in campaigning on LNG, Honourable Speaker. They're very successful in campaigning on LNG. They didn't deliver any LNG projects, a big zero, Honourable Speaker. Our approach, Honourable Speaker, is different. We have focused on the interests of British Columbia and delivered so far, under construction, 3 LNG projects worth a capex of $42 billion. And Honourable Speaker, we are currently working with the province of Alberta together to focus on our joint priorities of an intertie between BC and Alberta.
Minister.
Honourable Speaker, the member talks about projects that don't yet exist, Honourable Speaker, and we will take action on projects that don't exist, Honourable Speaker, when they exist.
Member has supplemental.
I'm glad that the minister brought up projects that exist. I also would note that he completely evaded the question, how can British Columbians expect to get a straight answer or any leadership from this government when the NDP caucus is so clearly divided and at war with their own base? The Premier and the Energy Minister have said they fully support dredging Burrard Inlet for oil tankers. That's a real project. But when I asked the Minister of Jobs, Economic Development and Innovation whether she supported it in estimates, she would not say if she agrees. At least 6 NDP cabinet ministers built their political careers on opposing pipelines. Will any of those MLAs now stand up and confirm their support for dredging Burrard Inlet for oil tankers, or will they all hide behind cabinet solidarity and hope the media doesn't ask them? Will the Attorney General stand up? Will the Minister of Infrastructure stand up? Will the Minister of Indigenous Relations and Reconciliation stand up? Will the Minister of Emergency Management and Climate Readiness stand up? Will the Minister of State for Local Government and Rural Communities stand up? Or will the Minister of Energy stand up again and give another non-answer?
Minister of Energy.
The position of the government is clear on this matter. And we had a debate and estimate. Honourable Speaker, you know, I appreciate, and we'll move on to the question of divided caucuses in a moment, Honourable Speaker. But clearly and straightforwardly, the Premier and I have said on this federal proposal to dredge Burrard Inlet that we built this pipeline. We built it for, as the member will note, $34 billion, Honourable Speaker. This country built it. That the revenues from the pipeline pay for about 50% of the cost of the pipeline, 50%, which is unlike any other pipeline in the world. So it's truly our pipeline, paid for in large measure by taxpayers everywhere in the country. It's our position, Honourable Speaker, that it's built and that it should be used fully. And that's why we have been supported, consistent with federal environmental law and fisheries and oceans regulation and everything else. We've been supportive of the project because we think people should get full value for it. But Honourable Speaker, you know, I used to be sitting in this house just down the way Last week, the opposition called for a general election. We know why they want a general election, my Speaker. It's the worst kept secret. It's the worst kept secret in Victoria, Honourable Speaker, that Conservative caucus meetings are like scenes out of Rollerball, Honourable Speaker. And
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
we understand,
Thank
Honourable
you, Mr.
Speaker, why they want a general election, Honourable Speaker, because it gives them an opportunity not to be together for 28 days, Honourable Speaker. Not this. All I can say is that you all just get along.